Hey everyone, what's up? It's Friday the 13th. You may not be viewing it on that same day, but just so you know, we're recording on Friday the 13th, and if something goes wrong, we can blame it on that. Today, I'm sitting down with someone that embodies the hardworking backbone in the underground of metal. Fili Bibiano came up out of SoCal and has just basically earned it every step of the way. Uh, it's hustle, it's heart, it's grit and steady drive that has carried him into the metal world. Um, Kind of the artist, that doesn't really chase the spotlight. He's more of the guy that's kind of build the stage plank by plank, and the spotlight just has a funny way of finding him. His story is it's all grind, no shortcuts. And that's exactly why it hits so hard. So let's get into it. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's figure it out. Billy, welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, let me make sure, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah.
I don't want to perpetuate the incorrect pronunciation of your name.
Yeah. You pronounced it right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. At least we're off to a good start. I'll screw
Yeah.
something up, I promise. Um, so you've got a new album that's coming out,
Mhm.
and uh, I think that this is a great evolutionary step in the process of your music. Um, You've talked about, I've seen some other interviews and you've talked about how this is some new music and some other things, but it's also some music that may have been kind of around for a hot minute and you've been working on it. And a question that I have is, I think everybody's a little different. Like, look, I'm a writer and I'm a visual thinker, right? I'll sort of visualize the words and sort of put things together. Um, in your process as a musician, like if I was to steal your phone and if I was to look at your phone, would your notes section be full of like voice notes to yourself where you're like saying like this would be a really cool line for a song or this is a really cool riff? Like how does music come to you?
If you took my phone, you wouldn't see any music in there, pretty much. Like any voice memos, no, not really a lot of music notes. Just funny pictures and memes, you know. So I mean, my everything musical that comes out of me is in my head. It lives in my head, and I like it that way because it's kind of it's kind of a little world I created, inside my head, and it's almost like fleeting ideas. I kind of like
Mhm,
that feel of things where you have the faint feel of something amazing, and it could either go away or you chase it.
mhm,
So I'm always chasing that, and there's always these amazing things coming to me, and I'm always just trying to find them in my head. I don't like putting them in my phone right away because I like to daydream about them and kind of romanticize it a little bit instead of just having it on like it's just an idea. It's something that I have to capture and bring to life pretty much in my own head. And I will project it onto like my computer. We have technology now where I have a whole recording setup. I can splatter all my ideas onto the screen and different multi-tracks.
yep.
So everything that's going on in my head, every instrument that's playing, I can just paste it onto the computer and with my ideas. That's usually where I have my ideas fully fleshed out. I have the main idea that I hear in my head like fully done. I don't really record like little riffs and stuff like that. I need to have like every single instrument done pretty much. But yeah, it's kind of like daydreaming. I've always been daydreaming since I was a kid and always daydreaming about music, and I just never stopped. Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
so that's my process of writing music. It's just a dream to me, and um, I just try to live in that world because it's much nicer than the one we live in.
yeah, no, no shit, huh?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. And I've never met anyone that's been like that, that has been sort of so on the other side of that. So a follow-up question. At
Mm.
what point do you know something is ready to go into the computer? Or what point do you know something's ready to jump out of your head and go into the real world, as it were?
Um, I think there's a point of like adrenaline and excitement. Um, Once it reaches that point for me, then I have to put it on paper, or not paper, but put it on the computer before it leaves,
Yep.
before I never see it again. Sometimes I can't, like I said, I don't really like using my phone to record things like that, or just hum out ideas. It's not the same. I have to hear every single note and really orchestrate it. So for me, if I'm driving home in the morning and I feel something, I have to feel it like fully emotionally, and it has to excite me and get my blood flowing. If I hear something that just I can't let go, I'll hold on to it in my head, and I'll come home, and that's the first thing I'll do before I do anything else. And that just gets me excited about writing music. He keeps it passionate, and that's kind of the path I've been on since I've started writing music, So
It works.
yeah, I mean that's the way I still have that love for music, and keep doing it without it getting bland, And it goes to a lot of questions I've been asked in the past about, why do I write short albums, or why are the releases so, short, and they some people want more, but I don't want to give something that isn't like 100%, um, I want to give something that's filled with passion and emotion and excitement from me, or else it's not real.
Yeah. Art's a strange thing, right? Because you
Yeah.
do art for your own sake. You make art in a certain way,
Mm.
but it takes on a completely different meaning when you go and you release it out to the world. You know,
Yeah.
that now you're open to the interpretation of what your fans say. And the thing that I like about you in researching you and watching you talk in interviews, like the one thing that we agree on, it's like you don't give a shit about gatekeeping, right? You're like people are like, oh, this sounds like that, or like song sounds like this and this song sounds like that, and you're like, whatever, like that's how the song is. I love that about you. I think that embodies like the perfect amount of freedom from an artist perspective, and you're true to your muse, whatever it is that's telling you, like, hey, this is the riff, or hey, this is sort of the angle that it comes to. um you follow that, and don't don't lose sight of that. Keep that. I mean, you it's fairly well documented out there that you are deeply involved in the projects that you're in, whether it's multi-instruments or whether it's production. And I think that that demonstrates that you care deeply. Next
Mm.
question that I have is, how do you collaborate? You got to get into a room with several different people. How does the band collaborate to then make it everything?
Right.
It's now the full product.
So once I've you know arranged the music and fleshed out my ideas into the world, um, it's very hard to give up things at that point because you're so attached to it. So and it's kind of like your child almost.
Hmm.
So luckily with this band, I've chosen people specifically for their talents and for their style, and tone and range, So these musicians that are in the band are perfect. They're perfect vessels
Yeah,
for the music,
yeah.
and they're more than that, obviously. Joey is an amazing drummer.
Hmm.
He just brings takes the drums that, I don't really try really hard on the drums because I want him to contribute more because he's more of a drummer than I am. But he just takes it to a whole new level, like adding his own emotion and feel. So they definitely do add to the songs, and most of the time, like I'm totally for it. They'll always bring me great ideas. The singer Juan Aguila is really easy to work with.
Hmm.
Um, we share that same passion for music, and he's the same way. He'll hear music in his head, and he's a singer, so he's more vocal, and um, he relies on his voice to compose music pretty much. Or I rely on the guitar,
Hmm.
piano. Um, and yeah, I mean, collaborating with him is very easy. We both have very similar influences. We both have the same trajectory. Everybody in the band is going the same way. There's no pulling and going on between the band. So it's very, very smooth, very natural. And, they're very respectful. That's an important thing in the
Yep.
band, to
Yep.
have respect for each other. And, I can't say enough good things about them. And I love collaborating with them. And, you know, I'm glad we were able to make this album together.
Well, Death is Your Master is the name of the album,
Mhm.
and I think the proof is in the pudding. You've got a couple of tracks sitting out there. I like Night City. I think Night City is just an absolutely fantastic track. It's got, it's just, it's a little hard rock. It's a lot metal. I think that there's some stretching and some range in it, but for what metal is today and for where music is today, it's a fantastic piece. I also like Flesh and Dagger. Flesh and Dagger gets a little kind of grittier, a little faster. Um, but I think that that demonstrates the range of the band. Um,
Mhm.
when you guys are talking about ideas and when you're putting together new music, is it in bits and pieces? Are you sending files like, hey, here's the basic structure I have for a song, and are people layering onto that? Or at some point, are you guys getting in a room together, jamming and kind of hammering it out and getting it going?
Well, the way we're going to work now, I like to be there for every single performance, every single idea that comes about, just because, as far as musical knowledge goes, I feel like I'm the most educated musically. Not that I'm a genius at music theory or anything, but I can, speak the language and interpret what they're trying to do and make it into music, the proper music, without, 'cause sometimes they'll bring me an idea, or the singer Juan will bring me an idea, and it's not quite there, or some of the notes are quite like, they're not structured the way, somebody with a musical background
Sure.
would arrange them. But sometimes it's a good thing. It opens new ideas naturally. But I'm kind of there to, oh, like this is in this scale. You're singing this note would be better if it was here, and it would harmonize with these guitars here, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
I think that that comes from your background though, right? I mean, let's set the record straight. You're not demanding that everybody bend to your will. I think it should be noted that you've put in the work, right? You've done the work in the background. You've put in that hard work and you're coming at it from a place of experience. I think it's important for the audience to sort of understand that not only do you care very deeply, but you're drawing upon sort of this pool of experience that you have with making music, and that these suggestions build the product as you go along. And if you look at sort of the evolution of the sound from the beginnings of your music to where it is now, I think that that kind of shines through. And that's you, right? That's your profile. That's the hard working profile where you're sort of putting in the work and doing things on your own, and your projects get to benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be a dictator or anything like that.
Correct.
It's just that there's a certain bar, and there's a
Hmm.
certain standard for writing music, and I want to bring the bar higher and higher. I don't want to settle for mediocrity and, let's just make a band and let's just have fun. That's cool. I love doing that as well. We're still doing that, but musically, it has to be up there, and we have to set an example for bands in the future. We can't just make whatever and there's a bunch of wrong notes or a bunch of bad sounding notes and just let it slide. We have a responsibility to educate the future generations of musicians, because it's playing this kind of music, you need to know melody and harmony. There's no way you're
Yeah.
gonna just write this music. You can get there, but it's not going to sound professional. It's not going to sound what Judas Priest sounded like, Iron
Yeah.
Maiden sounded like. Like, these are human beings. They work hard and they know their stuff. They study and they really know their stuff, especially Judas Priest. A lot of classical influence and stuff in their music. A lot of the chord progressions are really inspiring, and um, I think that's missing in a lot of bands these days. So I'm doing hard work by listening to classical
Hmm.
music, listening to Japanese music, Mexican music, and studying it and seeing how I can elevate the genre little by little, not too
Hmm.
much, but just
Yeah.
adding things that are part of my culture, and kind of elevating the music in general without compromising it. But it is important to study music. And if you care about it, go research it, go listen to music, figure out why these chords make you feel a certain way. And
Well,
that's how
it,
I approach that,
y- you being a student is absolutely important. You being a student of music and constantly doing that, because you're right. There's a lot of bands out there. They do okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think that attention to detail, and it's not just metal. It's across the board, no matter what kind of music you're playing. If you
Mhm.
have that attention to detail, if you're a student of the process, it's just going to make things better. Not going to disagree with you on any of those points. I am going to ask a question though, because you
Mhm.
opened the door. Um, I'm going to steal your phone again, and I'm going to look in your phone. I'm going to look at the cat memes, but I'm going to look at the music section. I think we
Yep.
know what all of your metal influences are. Okay.
Right.
And I'm super interested in the comment that you made about other types of music. What is an influence that nobody would ever sort of think like what the fuck is Fili Bibiano listening to this for, and how is it influencing his music? One of the things that I love is um I forget who it was, but somebody was interviewing Dave Grohl, and he was talking
Mhm.
about Smells Like Teen Spirit, and he's talking about the drum, the and he's like, I stole that from the Gap Band. And then the interview flashes, and it's the beginning of the Gap Band song, and it's like, like totally
Yeah.
like like what the F, like this is crazy. So
Mhm.
going back to my question, I'm looking in your phone or I'm looking at your influences. What is a musical influence to you that is way off the beaten path? What's something unexpected?
Um, I do like you were saying, I do like a lot of funk music just because of the rhythmic stuff. It has value. The tightness of the bass, the drums, um, and the stuff they do
Yep.
in between the notes is great. They're very tight as a band, and I draw a lot of influence from that. Another one is another funk stuff, like Japanese pop from the 80s, has a
Yep.
lot of funk and fusion in it.
Yep.
The rhythmic stuff is great. Chord progressions are very unusual, and I like that. It's not it's something that's expands my brain. It's something I would never think about because naturally my understanding of music is very Spanish oriented and
Hmm.
like church oriented
Yep.
stuff I heard growing up, and Mexican music has a lot of that. Um, so my brain to me that's like the standard, but when I hear this other music, it kind of shifts my brain a little bit and doesn't really understand it. So I strive to go listen to it, break it down, learn the song, and put it on my computer if I have to, break it down and look at every single note and figure it out. Another one, of course, I listen to a lot of classical music just because it's naturally what I grew up listening to. Um, a lot of, like I said, Spanish music, flamenco. Um,
Okay, so when you go to classical music, what's something that you go to? Because I think there's a lost connection that some people don't understand about the roots of metal. The roots of
mhm,
metal actually go directly back to like heavy classical music. And
mhm.
I don't think people make that connection. So I'm interested, is there something specific that you listen to from a classical perspective?
So nowadays, when I was younger, I would like obsess over artists and like, try to figure everything out about them. But nowadays, I just listen to music, and if something catches my ear, I'll save it, and I'll have it in a playlist, and that way I can listen to all the music I heard something of value in. And I can't really, all I know is I like a lot of Franz Liszt,
Hmm.
Chopin, um, Paganini, of course,
Nice.
Bach, Beethoven, of course, Mozart,
Yep.
Vivaldi a lot.
Yep.
But there are some new classical composers. I don't know their names. I just save their stuff
Yeah.
that I listen to. And it's the thing about classical music is it could be a whole suite of music, and there's only one exciting part of that whole thing. Like you hear that one part, and you're like, it makes you go crazy. But now I don't have the attention span for that.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yep.
I can, sit in a concert and watch it. It's amazing. It's a whole different thing. But for me, and I think this new generation, we don't have much patience for that stuff. We need
Hmm.
exciting things and we need tension. So there are bands and new composers that take that, a lot of like somebody like Danny Elfman,
Hmm.
just all his music is just pure excitement, pure drama,
Yep.
pure tension, and that's the kind of stuff that I like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean sometimes I'll pick up things that are just weird, the weirdest things, like I just listen to it. If something has value to me, I'll save it and I'll listen to it and study it. That's the way I approach music. Right? Sometimes it'll take me a while to like something. I have to listen to it a couple of times to understand it.
Yeah.
Without being biased.
Sure.
But let's see. I think,
Well, I mean, look, not everything can be like Vivaldi, the Four Seasons, like a movement in four parts, right?
yeah.
It's like I get it. There's sort of this epic, breadth to some of that music, and I think you're spot on, right? Attention
Mhm.
spans are just so much smaller, and Danny Elfman, I think, is a great example because I think Danny Elfman's music it sort of captures that, the orchestral piece, but it's also very sort of cinematic and compact, right?
Mhm.
It's sort of this great little sound bite where it just like gets to the point right away. It's kind of that punk sensibility, if you will, of the roots of his career to where he's getting after it. He's getting right to the point right away.
Mhm.
And I think that there's a time and place for everything from that perspective. So I think that that's spot on. I mean,
Mhm.
you touched on a lot of great things there, and I think you sort of hinted at, you grabbed on to sort of the roots of what was heavy at the time, Flight of the Valkyries or all of those types of things that were, like that was the heavy metal of the time, right?
Hmm.
You're tapping into that and kind of borrowing from that.
Hmm.
If I can, um, I'd like to talk. You've been in the scene for some time. You and
Yeah,
I were
probably
you.
since I was like 15. I've been going to backyard shows and shows. Yeah.
You and I talked before we got started, and we were just. I said like you and I have probably been in some of the same rooms, and I just
Hmm.
never had a chance to meet you. But the community is sort of very small. I find it because I'm in a different place. Metal, it's absolutely insane to me that metal is back underground. Like metal is so underground. It's a small community um, of people who are making amazing music. And some of it's really great, and some of it's sort of a flash in the pan. So, what do you think the state of the metal music industry is? Do you think that there's a chance that metal's going to sort of break out of the underground and get big and get into the mainstream again, or do you think it's just gonna, do you think it's gonna persist in the underground like it has?
I think it's just gonna persist in the underground, to be honest.
Interesting.
I feel like it's the music industry is like a revolving wheel,
Hmm.
and sometimes it picks up trash, sometimes it picks up gold, like, and and it always comes back down, it's always gonna throw
Sure,
something out,
sure.
just because people's um musical intelligence is not what it used to be. There's not a lot of musical education going on. I was lucky enough in middle school to have a rock musical education and performance in my school. So I was able to learn about heavy metal music and perform songs like Black Sabbath and Ozzy and stuff like that at a very young age and perform in front of people like guitars, drums, singers. So I was very fortunate for that. But there's not a lot of musical education going on, and that it really sucks. But I mean, because of that, it kind of opens up a bigger profit because people don't know what they like, and as long as it's being shoved in their faces and you're told to like it, you're gonna like it because you want to do what everybody else is doing. So
Unfortunately.
I think there's gonna be moments. I think of bands like Wings of Steel or Tail Gunner are doing really well.
Yep.
And I think bands like that are going to break through. Um, Not everybody's going to break through, I don't think, but I think it's just going to come back down.
Yeah.
For them, like bands that are getting success, I think they're going to be successful, but we're not going to break through to like worldwide fame like it used to be. Just because it's always a revolving thing, and the next big thing is always gonna come in and destroy that.
Come
That's just
on,
how it is.
Philly. Fortress worldwide. Let's think big here. Come on, brother.
I wish I mean, in the future I'd like to branch out to different kinds of music, but my heart is in heavy metal. So I'm always gonna be
Right
doing
on.
something with music all my life, pretty much. But yeah, that's the way I see it. I talk to a lot of my peers and people in the scene, and they don't care about music the way other people do,
Yeah.
and they don't really care. They just care about the image, the merch, the stage banter, the stage setting. The music is kind of like has become the background, like the base. You don't even need a good foundation to be a successful band in the underground. You just need a great image. You need to know how to perform, and just pretty much throwing a magic show for people, and that's cool. I'm not against that. I love that stuff, but I won't name anybody, but there's a lot of bands out there that's all they have to offer their performers, and they're not really doing anything great with music. And that's for me, I'm trying to do something great and I'm trying to um, make make it worth it. I've been practicing guitar since I was seriously since I was 6 years old. So I want to make it worth it for myself. And, you know, that's what I want to do with my music. But seems today like, you know, you really don't need good music. Honestly, you just need to show up and just perform and be an act, you know.
I interviewed a guy not too long ago. I won't I won't say his name, but we were talking about state of metal. He's not in the music industry, he's in a different industry, and he used this term and he said there's a lot of bands out there that do Iron Maiden cosplay. They're not very good, but they're doing it for the image. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like that hurts my heart a little bit, right? But it's true. It's unfortunately true. So the quote of the interview, the pull quote that I'm going to have is Fili Bibiano. It's all about the music, right? That's the
Yeah,
one thing. That's the one thing that you care about.
yeah, I prioritize the music. Of course, we're gonna bring theatrical things to the stage. Don't get me wrong. It is a fortress. Does have a dark imagery, which I love. But the main priority is the music, and I want to bring that back to people. And you know, I don't want to write mediocre music. You know, I really don't.
And you
And
don't.
yeah,
I've seen,
hopefully,
I've had the pleasure of seeing you play live, and you are all business on stage. You leave the theatrics up to the singers that you work with, and that
yeah.
is a great combination. But you get up on stage and you do your work, and
Mhm.
that's what's most impressive about you.
Thank you.
Um, you've done a little bit of touring. And I want to get to kind of 2026 and talk about it, but I have sort of an interesting off the beaten path question. I don't know how far and wide you've been in terms of being able to take your music to other places, but is there a place where you've played your music where the fans have felt like home, the venue felt like home? Like, I don't want you to play favorites, and look, I love Los Angeles as kind of our mutual home, but is there a place that you've
Mhm.
been to where it's just hit off and everybody's firing on all cylinders and you had a great time?
There's been a couple places. I mean, so far, I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, I've been to South America, I've been to North America.
Hmm.
Pretty much all over the world. I'd have to say within the span of my career, sometimes I'm not playing my own music. Sometimes I'm a session musician. I play live with other bands. You know, I love Japan. I love playing there and the crowd is amazing and something about it. I feel like they may have more musical education and they're exposed to a little bit more complex music that is popular rather than in the States. And they just appreciate music, they appreciate the artist, and they show their appreciation during the show, after the show, or like days after the show. They'll come up to you and treat you with respect.
I was
Um,
just going to say respect because that's a huge part of Japanese culture, and Japan has a very long history and a very deep love. Like I think Japan and Mexico are very close in their
mm,
sort of fervor for metal. Both countries really love it, and both countries completely get after it in completely different ways. But those are two legendary countries just in terms of their undying love for metal. Like it hasn't changed in Japan at all. And if you look at sort of the pantheon of metal, there's tons of
mm.
live albums that are recorded over in Japan, and like
Yeah.
that just hasn't stopped. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Japan, playing my own music with Entranced. I mean, it's almost hard to say. I mean, one of the highlights for me was Legions of Metal in
Hmm.
Chicago.
Yeah.
That was our first time playing there, and there was, there's a great community there. There's a lot of metalheads that are just they just love the music. Like I said,
Hmm.
everybody's there for the music, you know. And there's a lot of great people going to that festival, and I had a blast there. I felt the love. Like people expressed that. I mean, sometimes, you know, as an artist, you go out there, you pour yourself out, and you know, some people just stare at you, or they're kind. Sometimes people are shy and they don't want to express it to you, but I love it when people come up to me because then it gives me reassurance. All right, I'm doing a good job. It makes me feel good, you know?
Yeah.
And I love to talk to the fans. I love to get to know them. So when people express that to me, I feel I remember those shows the most, you know. So Legions of Metal was a great one, Chicago. Let's see,
Been to Hell's Heroes?
Hell's Heroes. Oh, yeah, I totally blanked on that one. Hell's Heroes, yeah, with Entrance. That was amazing. We played inside the indoor little theater. It was really packed. That's where I feel most comfortable. Like when there's a huge crowd, it just feels less.
Hard to connect.
Yeah, just feels like you can connect with everybody. Everybody's having a great time, and I just feel like that's where I belong, you know. And that was definitely a highlight. Another one, I mean, for LA was the Fonda Theater. That was a great one as well.
Great
Same thing,
venue.
you know. Yeah, same thing. Like felt the energy from the crowd. It inspired me to play some solos that, you know, I can't I have to practice nowadays because you just get that adrenaline. You can't play the same every night, you know. So those have been my favorite with Entranced. I mean, Fortress hasn't toured much. Um, when we did small runs, we did feel the love. People bought our records, you know, they really support us. And I can't wait to get out there with Fortress and you know, see what it's like, you know.
Well, seeing Fortress Live has just shot up to the top of my list. So, tell me where the hell you are going to be this year. You're going to be on tour. Where can I see you? Where can everybody else see you?
Yeah, so next week we have a show with Entranced and Wings of Steel at the Whiskey. So we'll be playing that. And the week after we have a Fortress show um, in at First Street Pool with Omen for direct support for them. And there's a bunch of awesome bands playing that one. It's going to be an awesome show, and we'll have merch there and everything. And that's kind of like testing the waters of our live show now with the new band. And you know, we may have some new members joining us for the show, so something a little bit different that not everybody has. So it's going to be cool. And you know, if you want to come, you should come and support us, you know, so we can keep doing this. It's a big thing.
Absolutely. You should come and support bands. You should be coming out and supporting the music. You should
Yeah.
be coming out and buying the merch.
Yeah.
I've seen Entrance probably a handful of times. Never a dull moment at those shows. I'm actually looking forward. I'll come out of Orange County and I'll be up at First Street Pool. I've been there
Cool.
before. Um,
Awesome.
Matter of fact, I think I was there for an Entrance show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Entranced and Persecutor.
Yeah. And Acero Letal from
Sarah
Cuba.
Latal, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. That was a
They're great.
fantastic. That was his first tour through the United States, I believe.
Yeah. And that was a great show. It was
It was.
packed. It was lots of energy, lots
Yep,
of real metalheads there. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, I mean, the big thing for us, you know, promoters nowadays, they really only care about your numbers, your I don't even know about streams, just your how many followers you have, how many people you can bring to the show projected, you know. So they're kind of searching for bands like that to put on bigger festivals and stuff. So it's very important that we get that support so we can come play those things because you know, starting out again, we're kind of restarting. So it's very hard to get a hold of sometimes of those people to give you a chance. And you know, I've been ignored a lot. I'm just gonna say that.
Comes
But
with
you know,
business.
there's gonna be a time, you know. I feel like, we're gonna get that following. We're gonna be able to come out and play for everybody. And when we do, we're gonna take it seriously and we're gonna do our best.
Well,
Um,
at least +1 to both shows because I'll be there. If people want to find you, where is the best place social media wise, or how can people find out about all of the bands that you're in, Fortress, Entranced, and anything else that you might be working on?
I think the best place that I'm most active on is Instagram or Facebook. You can follow the band there. Um, and or you can follow me. It's just my name, Fili Bibiano, on all platforms, and you can see everything that I'm up to and follow my bands from there. But it's very important that we get people on Instagram to follow us because we have our fan base is pretty spread out. Where some people just follow us on Bandcamp. We have a pretty good following on there, and they're
Hmm.
very loyal. And every time we release something, they buy it, they support it. They're very supportive there. So I'm trying to get everybody from there to follow us on Instagram. So because that's what the reality is, that's what people see. That if it doesn't matter how good your music is, if you don't have plus 10,000 followers,
Yeah.
then nobody's going to give you the time of the day. And the thing is, the thing about this band is, in order for me to have my singer and have my drummer come out and play, I need to pay these guys. I need to book flights. I need to pay for travel. So it can be very expensive, and for us to go out and play shows at a loss is not really in my interest right now. We're a professional band. We're playing high quality music. We have the album's doing really well, and I'm surprised. And I think we're on a great path right now, and
I saw the
hopefully we'll.
score. We gave it a 9.5.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
that. That was
I'll
great.
I'll go fight I think it was Pablo that did. I'll go fight Pablo for the half point from somewhere else and we'll give you the 10.
Oh, yeah,
No,
it's
but
it's
the feedback has been positive. I looked at
yeah,
album reviews, all over the place and everybody digs the album.
yeah. I mean, I'm really surprised and like I can't even believe it. Like, because I got a email from we're with High Roller Records, and
Yes.
they're helping me out with all the press and promotion. So I just got an email the other day with a list of all the reviews, and it's all eights, nines, you know, um, seven, eight, nine, but mostly eights and nines. So I was really like shocked, like, oh dang, like I for sure thought there was gonna be some people that were like, really arms crossed and just like, this is not Iron Maiden. But I'm really glad, and um, it gives me a new level of confidence.
Awesome.
So because the more support I get, the more I can take this seriously. It's not easy, and it's not easy to accumulate all this music and time, put it on this effort, and release it. And the more I know people want to hear this stuff, the more I can put more time into it, more effort, and I feel like I have a responsibility to these people to keep it up and keep going. So that's
People
another
want to
thing.
if people want to buy the record, is Bandcamp the best place to go?
Yeah, Bandcamp goes directly to us. If you're in Europe and you can't quite afford the shipping from here, and you want to support the band but you can't afford the shipping, just go to High Roller Records. I know that they distributed the album over there in some record stores, so it's available at record stores as well over there. But if you want to support the band, a lot of people from Europe have been buying directly from us, and I really appreciate it, especially because the delivery can be really expensive. They still buy it, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get that stupid situation sorted out and we
Yeah, I
we can
mean,
get back to business and do what we need to do. But Fortress Worldwide, the dream's already happening. We just talked about it here, if there's one thing that's come up, look, we're already we're already pushing you out to the world, right? No, that's your hard work. You've been doing that. Well, listen, it is absolutely an incredible honor to finally cross paths with you, to meet with you, to talk to you. I'm looking forward to the shows. I want to review the shows for the new wave of traditionalheavymetal.com. Happy to put that out there for you. We've covered a ton of stuff. Hope you had a good time. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with for the fans? Anything that you'd like to say?
Um, well, I want to add some thank yous because I got in trouble last time for not mentioning
Please do.
the artists that did all the hard work and created this world behind me,
Great.
this realm. We're gonna be keep working with him. He's gonna be, our artist for the foreseeable future. He's a great friend of mine. His name is Marco Santiago, and he created this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And
Very cool.
I really didn't give him much to work with. He just kind of made it on his own, and he's just like me, in the way that he's an artist and where he's just, he's working a full-time job and he's doing this on his breaks. He drew this on his breaks. So he's very talented, and I would like to see people go support him so that he can have that same confidence boost to keep putting out great stuff. And yeah, we're gonna keep working with him.
So what you're saying is you need people to buy the vinyl, the 12 inch that has
Yeah,
the big,
because
beautiful artwork that you can put
yeah,
up on your wall.
yep,
And Philly will be happy to sign it and,
yep,
to make it all official, to do what needs to happen, be a great
mhm,
addition to your collection.
yeah. So his Instagram handle is Marcos underscore illustrates.
There you
So
go.
go follow him. Um, thank you to all the people who've been supporting me. I read everybody's names. I personally ship everything out. I pay attention to everybody that's buying something. I have you on a map, so I see where everybody's at, and I'm paying attention. So,
That's
everybody's
cool.
being seen. I love the fans, and you guys are allowing me to do this music stuff, and I'm very grateful. And yeah, and that's probably all I got to say. But
Is that everyone? I don't want to get you in trouble.
oh
Did you
yeah,
thank
I
everybody that
mean,
need to be thanked?
they know who they are. I already thanked them on the album.
Okay.
I thanked my cats on the album, so there you go.
Uh, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw pictures on
Yeah,
your Instagram of your cat. I'm like, okay, Philly's a good
yeah,
guy. He's got a
yeah.
cat. I'm in. Okay, again, thank you. It's been awesome to get to know you. It's been awesome to watch you play live. I'm looking forward to the next couple of shows that are coming up. And look, don't be a stranger, man. I'm always happy to talk when you've got a project. You are more than welcome to come in and to promote, and let's just keep pushing you out there worldwide, like I said. We'll be talking to you next time. Thank you very much.